Hi, Vanessa here with another video tutorial. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe for future videos and like if you enjoyed this video at the end. Okay, so today we are making this cute little baby Lovey. Okay, it's a little baby blanket. It's granny squares stitches, so it's pretty quick, and then the head of the owl is made separately and sewn on. Okay, so as far as materials, what you'll need is some yarn. I love this yarn at Hobby Lobby. This is the color City Beat. It was a full skein, so you can see I used maybe about a third of it. Okay, and you can definitely make your blanket bigger, but this tutorial is going to show you how to make a Lovey size. For the crochet hooks, I'm just using what the yarn recommends, which is a 5.5 millimeter. Okay, that's going to be for the blanket. And for the owl, I used a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. Okay, you'll need a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle, and for the head you're going to need some batting, okay, to stuff it. And for the eyes I used whatever I had next to me. So this is Big Twists. This is from Joann's. And it is blue confetti. So that's what I used for the eyes. And these are safety eyes. I have a pack here. They basically snap on the inside with these backings so that they won't fall off. And this is actually just from one of my pillowcases. And I have some leftover cotton yarn. This is what I used for the beak. Okay. And you do need a stitch marker for when you're working the head, because it's worked in a continuous round. Okay, so grab a stitch marker to mark the beginning of your round. Okay, so we are going to start off with the blanket portion. Okay, so it's in granny square stitches. Okay, so I'm just using a 5.5 and this is what's recommended by the yarn label. So you want to start with a slip knot, holding the tail end, wrap your yarn around, and then overlapping the strand right there, insert your hook through the back, grab the working yarn, and then you want to chain one to secure. Okay, I'll leave a slower video for that if you need. And then you're going to chain two more. Okay, so basically it's a total of 3 chains, and that will count as your first double crochet stitch. So we are working this middle section here. Okay, so it's 4 clusters, so that's 3 double crochets for each cluster. So since this one counted as a stitch, we're going to work 2 more double crochet stitches. So to work a double crochet stitch, you want to yarn over, insert your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop. Okay, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, one more time, yarn over into the center of the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So now we have the first cluster, and between the clusters we are going to chain 2. Okay, so work 3 more double crochet stitches right into the ring. 1, 2 and 3. So we need a total of 4 clusters. So I'm going to chain 2 and work another cluster. If you need, you can tug on the tail to tighten this ring. Okay, work 3 more double crochets into the center of the ring. So now we have 3 clusters. We're going to work 1 more. So chain 2 and then 3 more double crochets into the ring. And don't forget your last chain 2. Tighten this by tugging on the tail end. And then you want to slip stitch to the 3rd chain from the beginning chain 3. Okay, so now I have the center of my blanket. Okay, so there's 4 clusters and then chain 2 between each. Okay, so to start the next round, you want to slip stitch in every stitch until you get to the corner. Okay, that's 3 slip stitches for this round. Okay, so for round 2, you want to chain 3. Again, that counts as your double crochet stitch. So what you're going to do is place 2 clusters here with a chain 2 in between, and then 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. So we always increase at the corner stitches. So that's 2 and 3. Okay, chain 2, and then work 3 more double crochets into that space, corner space. Okay, so now we're going to go into this corner space over here, but between corners you do not work a chain 2 space, only within the corner, if that makes sense. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, and then you want to chain 2. So only when I'm working in the corners I want to work the chain 2 in between. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I need to work 2 here and 2 here. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. Whoops. Okay, so now I have 1 more cluster over here. 1, 2, 3. I meant 1 set of clusters. So 2, chain 2, and then work another cluster of 3 double crochet stitches. Okay, now you want to slip stitch to the 3rd chain from the beginning chain 3. There's 1, 2, and 3 right there. Again, starting the new round, you want to slip stitch over until you get into the corner. Okay, so round 3, since we're in the corner, we're going to work our 2 sets of clusters. So chain 3 counts as a stitch, 2 more double crochet stitches, 1, 2, and then you want to chain 2 before you work the 2nd set of 3 double crochet stitches, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now from now on you're going to have these spaces in between your cluster stitches, so you will also work in there. So yarn over and work your 3 double crochet stitches, and keep in mind you do not add chain 2s anywhere else except for when you're working the 2 in the corner. Okay, now we're at the corner again, so you want to work 2 sets of the granny stitches, so of the clusters. 1, 2, and 3. So chain 2 in between, and then work another set of 3 double crochets into the same corner space. Okay, so now into the space in between these two, 1 set, so 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, corner again, work your 2 sets of 3 with the chain 2 in between. So there's 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. Okay, I'm going to repeat those steps all the way around. My next corner is over here, my last corner, working 2 sets of the 3 double crochet stitches with the chain 2 in between. Okay, another set, and then the last space between these 2 sets, I will work my last 3 double crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3. Okay, slip stitch to the 3rd chain to join. So I'm not going to go any further. I want to show you how to finish off, but basically when you start your new round, you want to slip stitch to the corner, work 2 sets. Okay, so there's 1, 2 sets with the chain 2 in between in this space, and then now you have 2 spaces on the side. You'll work a set of 3, and then your 2 sets here, a set of 3, and your 2 sets here. Okay, so it's the same repeat for every round. So I worked 1 single crochet around the edge, and then right here is I chained 12, slip stitch back down, and then continued on, and then I just tied a knot after. You can skip that if you want, then you would just work a chain 1 instead of doing the chain stitches, and I'll show you that as we go along. Okay, so I'm not going to slip stitch to the corner. I'm going to chain 1, and then right into the same stitch I'm going to work the first single crochet stitch. Okay, 2nd stitch, work the 2nd single crochet, the 3rd. Okay, so now we're at the corners. So if you're following along, it'll look like this. Okay, and if you don't want that, you will just work 1 single crochet, chain 1, 1 single crochet in this corner space. But if you want it just like this, we are going to work 1 single crochet, and then we're going to chain 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 into the 2nd chain from the hook through the back humps, not on the flat edge but on the bumpy side. Slip stitch all the way back down, so you should have 11 slip stitches. 2, okay, now I'm going to work 1 single crochet back into the space. Okay, so now you have this long piece here, and then we're going to continue working 1 single crochet in every stitch across. Okay, I'm at the corner again, so I'm going to work 1 single crochet, chain 12, and then I'm going to slip stitch through the back hump all the way back down to the chain 2 space and work a single crochet when I get there. Okay, I'm back at the chain 2 space. Work your single crochet and then 1 single crochet all the way across until you get to this corner. So go ahead and repeat all the way around until you get to your beginning of the round. Okay, so you repeat until you get the size you want. I worked until I got about 11 inches. A standard Lovey size is 10, but I wanted it just slightly bigger. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 rounds for this one, so you can go as long as you want. Okay, so I'm all the way back around. So this was my very first single crochet here. I'm just going to slip stitch and fasten off. Yarn over and pull through. Okay, so for the corners, all I did was tie a knot. Okay. And I made sure the knot was closer to the base. So there's a mini version of the blanket, and then you just weave in your ends. Okay, and then we'll make the owl's head and attach it. Okay, so now we're going to make the owl for the middle of the blanket. Okay, so I'm going to use the same yarn, and I'm going to go down on my hook size. So this is a size E 3.5 because I want it tight, the stitches, so that the stuffing doesn't come out. Okay, so to start, you want to work a magic ring, and you're going to want to work 6 single crochets around the ring. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you want to go straight into the very first single crochet here and work an increase for round 2. So 2 single crochets in every stitch around. Okay, so work your single crochet into that first stitch, and then grab your stitch marker and go ahead and place it on that first stitch, because we are working in a continuous round. So right back into the same stitch, you want to work another single crochet, because we're working an increase on this round where we're working 2 single crochets in every stitch. So right into the next, okay, you want to work 2 single crochets, okay, into the next stitch, 2 single crochets, and then just work 2 single crochets in every stitch. So you should end up with 12 stitches. Okay, this is the last stitch here. So work 2 single crochets. Okay. Okay, now this is our first stitch where we marked. So now you want to work 1 single crochet, and this will be round 3. And place your marker. And then the next stitch you want to work 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2. So now for round 3 we're just increasing every other round. So next stitch is 1 single crochet. Next stitch is 2 single crochets. Okay, so next one would be 1, and the next is 2. So again, we're increasing every other stitch all the way around. Okay, so I'm at the end of the round, and now you want to work and increase every other round. So the very first stitch, okay, so now you want to increase every third stitch. So the very first stitch will be 1 single crochet, and the next one will also be 1 single crochet, and then the third will be an increase, so 2 single crochets in the third stitch. Okay, repeat that around. 1 single crochet in the next one, and 1 single crochet, and then the third one is 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Okay, the next 2 stitches, 1 single crochet in each, and then the third is an increase, 2 single crochet, 1 into the next 2 stitches, each of the next 2, and then 1, 2 into the same stitch in the next one, so an increase. I'm almost at the end here. An increase on the third, and then you should end with an increase. Okay, so there's the 2 single ones, and then an increase on the last stitch. Okay. Okay, so there's the first single crochet. Now for this round, we're going to work 3 single crochets, or 1 in each of the next 3 stitches. And then the fourth is a increase. So if you notice, it's sort of a pattern. So if you notice the pattern, this round we're working in an increase every 4th stitch. If you continue, you will work every 5th stitch next, every 6th, every 7th, every 8th, and so forth. Okay, so repeat that around. Okay, so this is my last stitch and my last increase. Okay, so still a little small, so you just keep going until you have the size that you're happy with, basically for the bottom of the owl. Okay, I feel like this is still a little too small, so the owl's head will go right in the middle of the blanket. So I'm going to work probably 1 more. Let's see what that looks like. Into the very first stitch, 1 single crochet, and now I'm going to increase every 5th stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the 5th stitch will be an increase with 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Okay, now 4 more singles. 1, 2, 3, 4, an increase, 2 into the same stitch. Okay, again I'm increasing every 5th stitch now, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the 5th stitch will have 2 single crochets worked into the same stitch. So now I'm just going to work 1 single crochet around and around in a continuous round until maybe that tall. I haven't actually written the pattern yet, so I'm just sort of making it up as I go. So you can remove your stitch marker, or you can place it back on the very first stitch here. I'm going to place it down here because I don't want it to prevent me from continuing to move along. So I'm going to place it on the side of the round instead of on the top stitch. So now I'm just going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch, and then I'm going to continue to keep working in a continuous round until I'm happy with how tall the head of the owl is. Okay, so I'm happy with the height of the head, and before I slip stitch the top together like this, I'm going to place the eyes on it, and then so the eyes are worked the same way that you do at the bottom of this. Okay, so at the bottom of this, and I basically just worked 2 rounds. So same hook size, you start the magic ring, work your 6 single crochet, and then the increase round of 2 single crochets in every stitch, which gives you a total of 12 stitches. So make 2 of those, and depending on how big your owl is, of course you could adjust the size of the eyes. Okay, so I'm using safety eyes, and what they are, let's see here, here's a big one I can show you. So basically you insert this into your crochet work, and then on this side you snap this in so that it holds it and prevents it from falling out, especially with children. Or you could crochet the eyeballs if you like. So I ended here, and I'm going to slip stitch in this direction. Okay, so that means I'm going to want my eyes up here. Okay, and I left all these strands so that I can sew them in. So I've already poked through the front there, and then I'm going to place it here and then just poke where I want it. So that secures the eyes. Okay. And I'm just going to look to see where I poked the last one, and then just sort of use that as a guide for the same row to poke it through for the other eyes. Okay. So there I have the eyes in. Okay, so I'm just going to sew the eyes onto the head. Okay. So you just want to go through each of these stitches here. And then into the next stitch through the back. Okay. And then up into the next one. Okay, so work that all the way around for both sides. Okay, so now I'm going to crochet a tiny little beak. So work a slip knot, leave a tail for sewing, work a slip knot, and this is just some leftover yarn I found. So you want to chain as long as you want your beak, so as wide. Okay, so I'm chaining 4, and then I'm going to work into the humps of the second stitch, work a single crochet, and then into the next 2 stitches another single crochet, 1 into each of the next 2. Okay, so now you want to turn your work, chain 1. Okay, so work a decrease, so insert into the first stitch, and then, okay, so we're working a decrease, so into the next stitch. So now you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3, and then work 1 single crochet in the last stitch. This yarn is sort of rough. Okay, so now you want to turn your work, skip the very first stitch and work a single crochet in the next. Okay, so now we have a tiny little beak. So you want to fasten off. Okay, you want to yarn over and pull it through. Lay it where you want, and then I'm going to insert it right through to the other side. Okay, now I'm going to insert to the other corner and right through the corner of the beak. Okay, and then through the back again and fasten off on the inside. Okay, so I just wanted to sort of secure that a little bit. I'm going to use this one to actually sew the beak on. Okay. So there you have your head. I'm going to close up the owl. I accidentally cut my tail, so don't do that. And this is what I was planning to attach the head to the blanket with, but I'll just get a new piece of yarn. So back to, remember we left this before closing it out. So grab your batting or whatever it is that you're using and stuff it, okay, as much as you can. Okay, so into the very next stitch, and then through the back, okay, work a slip stitch, okay, into the next stitch, and then the stitch over here, okay, into the next 2 stitches from the front and the back. Okay, before I finish up, I want to shove the rest of my batting in there. I want it really packed in there. Okay, as much as you can. There we go. All right. Okay, and I'll finish off. And last stitch. If you end up with an extra stitch, don't worry too much about it. Okay, just actually I'm going to fasten off with the long tail so then I can use that to sew it up. Okay, I'm going to yarn over and pull the rest of the tail through. Okay, so this is the ears. Okay, so since I accidentally cut this, I'm going to run this through here. I'm going to run it kind of off the side here, just like when I attach palms to my beanies. I don't want to go directly to the middle, so make sure you don't tug it so tight where the ears go like this. Okay. Okay, so now we're ready to attach the head to the center of the blanket. Okay, these are the 4 center stitches of the granny square. I'm going to insert my needle into the middle of one of those and then up the other side. Okay. Okay, so pay attention to where you came out of. So this, if you look here, I have that on the left side, and so this, make sure it's not twisted over here. Make sure that it kind of lines up so that you can go back in on this side of the head and it won't be all twisted and uneven. So what I'm going to do is insert directly across from where the other one came out of, and then I'm going to go up this way, so you're kind of making a cross, if that makes sense, because you're going to go back into this one and then out this side. Okay, go into this one, out that side. So let me just show you. I'm kind of working my needles through the yarn, through the stitches. Okay. Okay, I didn't want to tighten it because I wanted to show you what it looks like. Okay, now so I'm going to go back into this side. Okay, and out the middle. Okay, and then now you want to go directly into the middle of those 4 stitches. Okay, so it is better if you tighten as you go, so that your yarn doesn't get stuck, which mine did. I had to redo it, so I just wanted to show you where to insert your needle. Okay, so I am happy with how it's attached. Okay, so I'm going to run it back through the other side and the underside of the blanket to fasten off. Okay. So run your needle through any of those stitches, wrap your yarn a couple of times around the needle, hold on to the base, and tighten. Now I'm going to just run this right through the head. Okay, so up into the head. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is cut this right here, and it'll go back inside the head. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe.